Hey guys, just a quick segment. This is the original key ignition cylinder lock off of Lil Red. The one that's 30, is it 30? 1992, 31 years old. 31 years old. Hey, how did that come off? Well, it didn't just jump off the car, I'll promise you that much. But you see this is the bracket that goes underneath, so it basically sits over the steering column. This is the lock that locks your steering wheel. It goes into a groove in the steering column and the steering wheel to lock the steering wheel. But you see that bottom bracket fits on there like that. But do you notice anything strange about these bolts? Well, those are anti-theft bolts. When Nissan installs this, they keep tightening until the top of the bolt, the part that they have a socket attached to, snaps off on purpose. And then these are in there and there's no way to get them out, but there is. So if you look at this side of them, see how that looks like someone sawed those in half? Well, someone did saw those in half, and there's the other half still in the old key ignition cylinder lock assembly. What we did was we took our Dremel tool with a steel cutting blade, and it just fit in the blade, just fit in between. If I can show you this, it just fit in this gap. There's a little bit of a gap. You can see there's more of one now because I cut. There's just enough gap for that blade to get started in between these two halves, in between this locking flange and the body of the cylinder lock. And so just slowly at high RPM, I think I had it at max, which is 35,000 RPMs, and have, of course, towels and rags and things all inside the dash area around to protect the inside of the car from metal shavings and sparks. Naturally, when you're cutting this steel, when that blade hits this steel, you're having sparks. But we were able to just slowly, we cut for a little bit, let it cool off, come back and cut some more, and eventually these bolts just dropped right out in the floorboard. And this piece fell down, and we knew that that was the eureka moment. It's like, okay, we did it. On some of the forums, they talked about cutting a groove in the bottom of this, and so you could get a screwdriver on it. But you'll see that when that's in there and it actually doesn't want to go in because it's been cut loose, it's recessed down in there. It's down flush in that hole. And so you'd have to cut with the Dremel, you'd have to cut straight across this, keep cutting down to about a quarter of the way through this flange piece, and to get to the top of this, then down more to cut a groove in it. And then you'd have to work on that groove until you could get a screwdriver blade in there and hope that you're strong enough to pop that loose. And the reason we didn't do that is there was no position we could put the Dremel in to do that, to get underneath this cylinder lock assembly and cut a groove in these and then bring them out with a screwdriver. There was no place for that. So the Dremel actually, and this is a very bizarre fact that we learned, there's only exactly one location the Dremel could be put on each side of this to cut through the bolt. So there, we looked at every possible place to get the cutting wheel on this groove right here and cut through the bolt. There was only exactly one location where we could position the Dremel on this side of the flange and come directly in and cut that bolt. And then when we got to the other side, the key side, it turned out to be the exact same thing. We positioned the Dremel in every possible way, and then we realized there's only one exact position that can be in and make this cut. So we did that. This is off. I'll take you out and show you where we're at. So this one's off. Haven't really tested it, don't really know how to test it yet. We'd have to get the circuit diagram and see if there's any shorts in, primarily in this this cable. But there could also be internal shorts in the mechanism itself that you will not be able to necessarily see. It's definitely worn out. This is old. I'll show you how it works. It's old. It's real crotchety. It's stuck a lot of times on me. So it should pop a little bit there. I'll set the camera down, hopefully where you can see, and then manipulate it. So that's the on position. It's weak, so that spring right there feels crappy. There's off accessory, I mean, and then there's off, and then you push this button to lock it. You hear the lock pop out right there. You can see this lock. That's what locks your steering wheel. But this is stuck, so whenever the incident with Lil Red happened and it died up the street, and we jumped out, popped the negative lead off of the battery because it was hot and smoking. The insulation was trying to melt. It was so hot, meaning current was being drawn. We couldn't get the key out of the ignition, so we turned it off, of course, immediately before we even got out, but we couldn't get the key out. So this key would not come out. What had to happen is I had to remove the cover housing around this, and I had to, there was a little red button that I had to depress. And when I depressed that button, which is a release, I'm gonna go show you, then I was able to take the key out. So not happy. I haven't been happy with this cylinder lock for a long time. This was a long time coming. It just so happened that I found one on eBay for half price, normally about $125. We got this one for $67. It's a Beck Arnley. It's a nice ignition key lock. It's nice. It's high quality replacement. This one's old, 31 years old, and it's real crotchety. I don't trust it, not after what just happened. And so anyway, let me go show you what we've done. We're at the stage of putting the new one in, and do I think that this had something to do with the incident? I do. I can't prove it yet, but I do think it had something to do with it, because the key's never been locked into ignition where I couldn't get it out if I jiggled it and jiggled the wheel, you know, and just worked with it for a minute. Even though that mechanism is really old and tired, I would be able to get the key out. I've never had the key stuck in this car in 4 years I've owned it, except for this incident. So tell me that there's no chance those are connected. They have to be. I don't know exactly how. So anyway, I'll show you. This is the new ignition lock. It's on the steering column, and I'll bring you around and show you. So this ring that you see right here where my finger is, that's an illumination ring, so that comes off the old ignition lock. It just slides forward. It just pushes on there really tight, and that just has a little light in there, so when it's nighttime you can see where to put your key, and I believe it works. I'm almost positive it does. But you just take that off the old one, put it on the new one, and also underneath you'll see there's another contraption, which is actually, I think it's an interlock. Where my finger is now, this piece comes off the old one and goes on the new one, so that does not come with this replacement cylinder lock. You take it off the old one. Oh, sorry about that. And I don't have a helper, so my flashlights are flailing around all over the place. But anyway, you take that off and transfer to the new one. Now we just have all these beautiful cables that you just see, and if you look down in the kick panel, look at the fuse block down there. There's, I don't even know, 10 connectors that are off. All those have to come off in order to take that fuse block, pull it out enough to get behind it and get the bulb check fuse out. We also went ahead and changed the ignition relay. I said fuse, excuse me. Bulb check relay, and we went ahead and changed the ignition relay because we're able to get that. The bulb check relay, you cannot get it. It does not exist. There's no aftermarket for it. We have one coming that we bought from a guy on eBay that he's selling the entire fuse block with the relays intact on the back, and it has the bulb check relay. I made sure to blow up the picture and say, yeah, that's it. We don't know if it's any good, and we don't know that the one that's out in the kitchen right now is bad. It's really hard to check a relay. A relay might, even if you have a 12-volt power source and you put it connected and it clicks, that doesn't mean it's going to do it every time. A relay can get, it's an electromechanical device. It can get tired, it can get old, it can develop a high impedance, which is a resistance to current. All kinds of things can happen with a relay. They're just really, if you suspect one, you just replace it. Unfortunately, we can't get a new bulb check relay, so we're going to complete the installation of this new ignition cylinder lock. We've got 2 brand new keys that came with it, and go from there. So that's this segment, just to show you that we were able to get the old one off. You see the new one has these nice hex, or I don't even know, I think they're hex head bolts that will find a socket to fit or a wrench to fit and tighten it down. But yeah, no more cutting. If there's ever a problem with this one, we'll just take it right off. That OEM one, and I understand why they do it, because people try to steal these cars and try to steal any car really, is in jeopardy of being stolen. But that makes it almost impossible for a thief, because they're not going to have access to a Dremel. They're definitely not going to be able to sit there and chisel when they're trying to steal a car. They're going to spend an hour chiseling on that to try to get that off. So anyway, the good news is we're installing this one. Do I think it's part of the problem? Yes. Can I prove it? I cannot prove that yet, but we will do a lot of continuity checks on that other lock now that it's in the kitchen. We just need to find a detailed wiring diagram for it. And anyway, either way, I wanted to replace this. I wasn't going to just do it because I was bored.